from Hollywood, this is Harrison. Harrison Special Report.
Both science and industry work together under the direction of the United States Army, which achieved a unique success in an amazingly short time. What has been done is the greatest achievement of organized science in history.
The voice of President Harry S. Truman in 1945, after dropping 2 nuclear bombs on Japan.
We shall continue to use it until we completely destroy Japan.
Harrison, the Dr. Strangelove Report.
Hiroshima was chosen as a target because it had not suffered damage from previous bombing raids, allowing an ideal environment to measure the damage caused by the atomic bomb. The population of Hiroshima was approximately 255,000. At 8:15 a.m., the nuclear bomb called Little Boy was dropped over the central part of the city. Killing an estimated 80,000 civilians in a flash. In the next 6 months, it is estimated that 60,000 more people died due to radiation poisoning, bringing the total killed in Hiroshima in 1945 to 140,000. Since then, thousands more people have died of radiation-related causes. In fact, according to the city of Hiroshima, as of August 6th of last year, the cumulative death toll of atomic bombing victims is 237,062. 3 days later, Nagasaki, one of the largest seaports in southern Japan, was hit. The nuclear weapon, known as Fat Man, contained a core of 16 pounds of plutonium-239, throwing a nuclear umbrella over Nagasaki's population, which dropped in one split second from 240,000 people to 165,000. This was followed by the death of at least as many from resulting radiation sickness, cancers, and injuries. Robert Lewis was the pilot of the bomber Enola Gay, which dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. In this rare recording, we hear his reflections, in which even the pilots didn't know they were dropping nuclear weapons.
Well, at the instant of detonation, we were trying our best to get away from the effects of the bomb, and we would wait for a length of time until the effects reached us. And as far as I was concerned, I could taste this ozone, this electrical discharge in the air. This went right through me, and I tasted this very clearly. But
this was from the explosion itself?
This was from the explosion. This taste that I speak of was instantaneous. At least it seemed so. And
can you describe what you saw of the explosion over Hiroshima?
We waited a minute or two and started to turn back towards the target to see what took place. And there was this most awesome sight, and that was that the city that had been in front of us, with its tributaries and bridges and trolleys, all outlined clearly in front of us, was no longer visible.
Another crew member, Abe Spitzer, the radio operator on the same mission.
It's a sight that you never forget because it was so unbelievable to see. To my perspective, it looked like I was looking down at the sun as this red ball of fire was climbing up into the sky. It was something that you had to see to actually believe. It's almost indescribable.
In the relation of the use of the bomb today, I have a certain amount of feelings as to what in my mind would justify the use of any nuclear bomb.
This is Harrison with a special Hiroshima and Nagasaki anniversary report.
The scope and extent of the devastation testify more eloquently than anything else to the enormous destructive power of the new bomb. 90% of the 75,000 buildings and dwellings in the city were completely destroyed by blast and fire.
In the exclusive Sundance documentary, Original Child Bomb, voices of several atomic bomb survivors are heard. He called for me 3 times, but I couldn't free myself from the rubble. I said to him, "Mommy is coming, so hang on." But I didn't hear his voice again. People were fleeing the burning city. They threw themselves into the river. As they drank the dirty water, they drowned head first. I saw so many corpses drifting in the water. Countless bodies came floating. I couldn't bear to look. People without heads, people without arms, people with their guts hanging out, without eyes. Their skin was peeled off, hanging from their fingertips. In 1962, Nobel laureate and British philosopher Lord Bertrand Russell spoke of the bomb and of what atomic bomb creator Albert Einstein had revealed to him, as can be heard here in this rare Pacifica archive.
But after the war, it turned out that the Germans had got nowhere towards making an atomic weapon. But there was an astonishment.
Was it right, having made the bomb, to have dropped it then on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Oh, no, that was a dastardly and most beastly piece of wanton cruelty. The Japs were beaten. They were beaten. They were going to surrender quite soon. And there was no point whatever in dropping the first bomb. And when you dropped the first, there was still less point in dropping the second. They were wanton acts of cruelty. The Americans had made this wonderful weapon. They wanted to show it off. And if it killed some hundreds of thousands of people, well, that was a detail.
So why did President Truman drop the bomb anyway? Freedom of Information Act searches have revealed new documents from the Joint Chiefs of Staff which debunk Cold War myths that the dropping of the bomb saved the lives of millions of GIs and ended World War II. By 1945, Japan was being repeatedly hammered by bombs. In fact, 119 cities had been smashed, and the Japanese military was all but gutted. Japan, in effect, had been rendered helpless and bleeding. The same official archival documents from the Joint Chiefs show the Navy had been dead set against the atomic bomb, providing analyses revealing that a simple naval blockade against Tokyo's harbor would have been enough to starve out remaining supplies, ensuring a full Japanese surrender. We now know that surrender talks with the U.S. were already in the works. But since the talks began to drag on, the military devised Operation Olympic, in which American forces were poised to invade Japan by wintertime. If Olympic failed, the military had Operation Coronet, in which forces would split the island in 2. President Truman dropped the bomb anyway. Not once, but twice. Then, to avert the growing horror by the American people, began to inflate the numbers of how many U.S. troops might have been saved by the bomb, until President Truman hit the number of 1 million. Yet President Truman's own General Eisenhower had calculated that each of these non-nuclear options would have sustained casualties of only 40,000 troops. So why did Truman drop the bombs anyway? Politically, a case could be made that since Russia's Stalin had just declared war on Japan, Russia would have next effected a Japanese surrender. Then Russia, the winning country, would have had control over most of Asia. And that conflict between the US and Russia eventually did develop and later became known as the Korean War. At the same time, President Eisenhower created a program called Atoms for Peace, in which he said atomic weaponry could be used to make electricity, even run cars, sending us to the moon possibly. This, it turns out, was in the service of getting a suspicious American people on board to hyper-escalate nuclear bomb research, plus weapons manufacturing. The development of the hydrogen bomb made the World War II-era atomic bombs look like TNT. But while weapons manufacturers got rich, the Soviet Union began stockpiling their own nuclear bombs. American sentiment was in favor of nuclear de-escalation, but the newly called Defense Department turned quiet skepticism to terrorizing fear by funding short so-called duck and cover documentaries shown before feature films all across America.
It could be any street, any town, USA. If sudden nuclear warfare should hit America, people will have to take care of themselves. The military would have a war to fight.
From Hollywood, this is Harrison. Live from Hollywood, it's Harrison. From Hollywood, this is Harrison. Harrison.
After dropping 2 nuclear bombs on Japan,
We shall continue to use it until we completely destroy Japan. Short time. What has been done is the greatest achievement of organized science in history.
the voice of President Harry S. Truman in 1945.
Harrison, the Dr. Strangelove Report.
Hiroshima was chosen as a target because it had not suffered.
Special report.
Both science and industry worked together under the direction of the United States Army, which achieved a unique success in an amazingly